we're good. Good morning, everybody. The time is 9:04 a.m. I'm going to call this special called meeting of the B County Commissioners Court to order. It is Monday, April 22nd, 2024. We are physically located at the B County Courthouse, Commissioners Courtroom, number 110, 105 West Corpus Christi Street, People, Texas, 78102. That was the call to order. Would everybody please join Commissioner Fadias in a brief prayer?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all your blessings. We thank you for allowing us to be here today. We ask you to please bless this court and all the decisions that we make today for the betterment of this community. We ask you for an abundance of rain, to bless the land with farmers and ranchers. And we ask you to keep a watchful eye on everything that we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledges of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
That worked out really well. Thank you, everybody. We're at agenda item number 4. This is recognition of visitors. We have a full courtroom, Commissioner's courtroom. I appreciate everybody being here. This is not public comment. We'll get to that in a little bit. But if you do want to identify yourself for purposes of our record, you may do so at this time. Thank you all for being here. There's absolutely no compunction that you do so identify yourselves, but thank you for being here and please come back. Moving on to agenda item number 5, Commissioner's Court opening remarks. I've been gone one meeting and so I've totally forgotten who goes first. Commissioner Lenny is volunteering himself.
All right, good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to recognize the accomplishments at A.C. Jones High School, the students. The law enforcement students, they won first in building search at Skills USA, Texas, and Corpus Christi. Also, the A.C. Jones High School welding program, they won first place in welding fabrication, and they advanced to Atlanta, Georgia for the Skills USA National Finals. So congratulations to those guys. That was very hard work from those men and women, and it paid off. So it's very, very good. Spoke to TxDOT about the big mesquite tree on 181 in Oak Lane. They told me that they had gotten permission from the higher ups that they were allowed to cut down 5 trees, which they're going to, there's 4 trees on 202 they're going to be taken care of. I don't know where. And then they're going to take care of that one there on 181. So that should be coming down either this week or next week. The dump station at the expo has been completed, so now RVs, they can go ahead and dump their gray and black water before they leave the expo grounds if they choose to. And the slab was poured for the EOC building this past week and everything's moving along. I attended the State of the County address presented by Judge Morrill. Good job, Judge.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner.
That was short and sweet.
That sincerity just like went right down the drain, didn't it? Yeah, but then he undid it all with the laugh.
He did.
Yeah.
Also, I think Road and Bridge, they went out and they started paving Kinkler Lane. They should finish up with it on this Wednesday. Then they're going to start paving on County Road 330 and 523 and 524. Spoke to Ray Longoria. There was a call in about some Chevron signs that were missing on the second 90-degree turn on Gill Ranch Road. And Kenneth Mendoza contacted me this morning. He's already out there putting those up. So thank you for that. Also, last but not least, a huge thank you to Angela Ramirez, her granddaughter, Jalen Lopez, Robbie Guerrero, Jacob Guerrero, Rachel Casares, Ana Trevino, and Ray Solis. We volunteered in that spring cleanup, the city spring cleanup this past Saturday, and we helped out a lot of people. It was busy, man. People were just, the lines were long. Thank goodness the volunteers, we got a separate line. We were able to go in and dump and just keep going throughout the day, so that made it a lot easier. And but we ended up taking 25 truckloads and 8 trailer loads of debris for people around town to the dump. So that plus, I mean, they had just piles and piles of stuff. So there was a lot that was cleaned up Saturday around Beeville. and that looks great. And then also, thank you to Debbie Maldonado for making shirts for us. With that, I'll pass my left.
Thank you, sir. The precinct is pretty stable. Routine calls, potholes here, limb down there, nothing spectacular. Always try to keep y'all up to date on the wind and solar farms on their payments. It's my understanding now that the solar farm is caught up on their payments. We got a $100,000 check in from them, so they're caught up. They're going to be having a ribbon cutting in June for the solar panels themselves. They're going full operational sometime before then, and they won't have a ribbon cutting out there. As we've told y'all before, there's 1 million solar panels. It's going to be interesting. To tag on to what Commissioner Lenny said about the paving, that paving's been done with a new piece of equipment. Madam Auditor, what did we pay for that? $200,000?
I would say so.
Somewhere over
She said about it.
between $200,000 and $300,000 for a paving machine. The old one, you probably will see it in a historical museum sometime. It's so old. It paved a very narrow area, and we had folks behind it with shovels throwing the rock on. They said they cannot believe how much better this one does and how much wider it is. It's all automated. It's digitalized. They don't have to use the shovels like they did. So I think we did good, Commissioners, and we were able to afford that equipment, so that's a good thing. And it lasted a lot of years. I'm going to cut my comments pretty short this time, but we've got early voting starting today for the bond issue for the school and for your representative for the school, so I encourage everybody to go vote. It goes through April 30th across the street at the elections office. The primary runoff, that early voting starts May 20th, so that's still a month away. And the thing that we have to be concerned about is, I call it voter fatigue. You know, we voted in the primary, now you're going to vote for the bond election, now you're going to vote for the runoff. Get out and vote. And you've heard me say this before, if you get out and vote and the candidate or the issue that you wanted doesn't pass, you have a reason and a really, in my opinion, a right to complain. If you don't go vote, I don't want to hear it. So get out there, go vote, go across the street. When you leave here, all you got to do is walk over there with your driver's license. It won't take you 5 minutes to vote, so go vote, please. Judge, with that, I will pass. Sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fields?
All right. I guess the biggest thing we got done is we passed that cleanup on Morris Street last court, and we scheduled that with the Road and Bridge, and we got that done on Wednesday, and it all went well. We filled one, I don't know how many yards, cubic yards that container is, but we filled one huge container, cleaned all that up on Morris Street, and then we had to go back a few days later, and the guy had scrolled some stuff over when he heard in court what we were going to do, and then he went and put it back out on the road again. So we had to go back out. It took about an hour, but Road and Bridge did an incredible job cleaning that up. I want to thank them very much. I attended a jail standards advisory board committee and meeting in Austin, and we did that a couple of weeks ago. That was good. That for some of the upcoming rules for the jail that are going to come up. So we got that done. I attended the State of the County. That was very good.
Killing me. You don't have to say anything. It was.
I had scheduled one meeting with AEP to finish the electrical work at the tax office build. Should be the last piece there. The electrical wasn't done right on that building, so AEP caught it, said we had to take care of it. There wasn't a will you take care of it, you have to take care of it kind of thing. So that's coming up. So we're going to get the electricity straightened out over there, and all is well there. I had one air condition go out at the Justice Building, and John from maintenance took care of that, and got Smeckle Electric to get us another unit that went out. The report on the courthouse generator, they pushed back the date on the transfer box, and it's going to come in June. And I talked to Mr. Mercer, and I said, man, that's right in the middle of hurricane season, and you still won't have supply. And it's just supply issues as far as that goes. So we're waiting on that, and the little facade that goes around the generator should be starting up in the middle of May, so about another month. And with that, I'll turn over my report to Commissioner Rivas.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to recognize Rob Reyes with our Emergency Management Group. He's been inputting a lot of key data into this new software called EagleView, and it's a pretty awesome program. But some of the information that he's put in there has pipeline information, but what's most important, he's putting in key information that's going to assist the individuals that's living in his home, so he has a better understanding of certain needs that they may need in the event of emergency. So that's a good thing. So in the event that they get that call in the middle of the night, at least they know how to respond and help them respond a little bit better. Also, some work that's been going on in the county. I'd like to recognize Johnny Zaghetti for coordinating and executing the repairs at our juvenile probation office. The work is about 90% complete. We have a little bit more work that's required for the flooring, so we're going to have to get some pricing on trying to replace the floor. Wasn't able to match it. So nothing super major. So JL Square, Mr. Dominguez did a fantastic job. They responded quickly, got it on work. Also, I want to remind everyone that this weekend, we're going to have the Papalote Volunteer Fire Department Barbecue Cook-Off, which is a great event, great fundraiser. It's going to be coming up this weekend, April 26th and 27th. You know, everyone needs to remember that our fire departments are the backbone of our community. You know, they're tirelessly always protecting emergencies when they strike. They're the first to respond. They risk their lives to keep us safe. So I would appreciate if everyone could support this great event and help this fundraiser that's going to be coming this weekend. Also had an opportunity to attend a wind farm conference, very interesting, that was facilitated by Judge Liska and Representative Gillian and George West. One of the key discussions was around regulations of the wind farm. It's probably the best way to put it. And just want to recognize my commissioner to the right here, kind of pushed the envelope for me to better understand the contracts with the wind farm. So I was able to do a deep dive a couple of weeks ago, and when I attended this meeting here, it was very, very beneficial. Also, I attended the appraisal district board meeting this weekend. I'd like to recognize Deb. She is always providing good input. But one key thing with the appraisal board, I highly encourage everyone, if you have any challenges with your taxes or concerns with the appraisal, go visit Deb, go visit the appraisal office. There's probably a 99% chance that they can get something worked out and understand what those challenges are. It's a complex process, and about once a month I'll go sit down with Deb, and she graciously gives me the time and try to educate me on some of these work processes. And it's not as simple as it looks on the surface. There's always two sides to the story. But don't shoot the messenger. She's doing a great job, and it's pretty complex. So take the minute, go visit with her before it gets to the crunch time where you're running out of the deadline. It would be beneficial. So thanks, Deb. And with that, Judge, that's it over to you.
Thank you so much, Commissioners, for your updates. I wanted to spend about 15-20 minutes discussing the State of the County speech that I made last week. Try to keep my comments brief. I know everybody here has a lot to do. But it started. I attended the State of the County speech as well, and I'd like to extend my apologies to my fellow commissioners, as well as to everybody that was present. I went a little bit long, but the reason why I did is I got about halfway through what I wanted to say, and I didn't feel it would have been fair to the other departments in the county if I arbitrarily cut it off and saved the diminishing number of participants in the room half an hour. I thought it was more important that I power on through and talk about the rest of all the great things that our departments are doing. So thank you for your patience, all y'all's kind words. As difficult as they may have been to utter them. The only other thing that I'd like to mention, we had, and I appreciate Commissioner DeWitt bringing this back up to my attention. One of our employees, a jailer obviously at the jail, John Vasquez, lost his house and vehicle in a fire a couple of weeks ago. We're still accepting donations. You can make those directly to Chief Deputy Ronnie Jones or to Bailiff Tanya Salas. Nope, not cash, right? Or cash is okay?
Okay.
Cash is king? Okay, I don't think that's the right thing to say. No, I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, if you have any ability to help out one of our own in their time of need, please seek out Deputy Salas or Chief Deputy Jones or anybody with
Butte County Sheriff's Office. I know they'll be able to help and get that money to this family that needs it so much right now, their moment of need. That's all I've got. We'll move on to public comment. I know we have some individuals that are present this morning that would like to address Commissioners Court, and this is the opportunity to. I don't know if, I know we have a sign-up list. Is there just one name? There's two. Well, who's first?
Oh, I wasn't gonna comment, just I was.
Oh, you're just checking in.
I was just signing in.
Well, then, in that case, we'll move on to second and last but definitely not least, our local Coastal Bend College president, Dr. Hoggard. Justin, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you,
sir.
Good morning, Commissioners, Judge, and by the way, it actually was a good speech. If you are not from Texas, which I'm not, it was a great overview, actually, of how county politics and government really works. Not politics, but government, how it works, and I did not realize the independence. So, as bad as I hate to admit that I learned something, Judge, I did. So kudos to you, sir.
Let's make sure, Brittany, we get
Yeah, let the record reflect, yes.
Put it in bold.
Bold, yeah. All right, now that the comedy's over, I just thought, Commissioner Frias has asked me a couple times to come and give a little outline of what's been going on at the college, and I made sure to, after the judge's wonderful speech, I thought maybe I might be getting back. I'm sorry, I could share some information.
Oh, you're limited to 5 minutes.
Yes, yeah. So I just want you all to know that we've been working diligently at the college, and I got here right just a few months before COVID hit. For the record, John Benson got here after, and it was immediately after he got here that the sun shut down the county, so not me. Just so we're clear. So we have received, as a product of the grants and the money that was made available through the federal and state, we've captured, I know it's over $15 million worth of grants and loans, and we managed our business well enough that we did not have any layoffs or any kind of reduction in force, and we actually had qualified for the federal program, the ECR, the employee ERC, employee retention credit, which we don't know when we'll receive that back, but it was roughly $800,000. So we suffered through that, but it was who didn't, but we did our best to keep everybody employed and do what we could. Anyways, when we have the check, we'll make a plan. I would like to say that we're going to use it for scholarships to bolster a program that I'll tell you about in just a second. With those grants, we brought programs, new programs online, like industrial mechanics, which is really going to phase out oil and gas because, again, the pandemic changed the way everybody did business. So what they need are people with very specific skills, and industrial mechanics has done that. The folks at ConocoPhillips were impressed enough that they gave us $38,000 to provide scholarships for that, and we thank them very much for that. We also started a cybersecurity. If you ever get a chance, give me a holler. I'd love to show you these rooms. They are really, really neat. Our most recent TRUE grant, Texas for Reskilling and Upskilling through Education grant provided by the state, we received approximately $450,000, which we, if you all have been to the college, on one side of the garage we have our regular automotive department, which does provide service, a small fee, and you're paying the parts, we'll try to fix your automobile. On the other side of the Alanis building, we have cleaned out all of that, revamped that, and with the grant we got a lift, and we are bringing in EVs to add to the curriculum, which seems to be the wave of the future. So trying to stay updated and modern. But speaking of updating and modern, we had that freeze. It wiped out our physical plant. So we did some studies, and what we found is we were taxing our physical plant by 25% more. So we were running at 125% capacity. So we Our board wisely, I think, and boldly and bravely went with a $6.2 million maintenance tax. Well, it's not a tax, it's a $6.2 million note that we had paid down debt, so we were able to get this. And if you've been out to college, you notice over by the residence halls, there is a big production going on. We have removed the residence dorms off of the main fiscal plan, as well as the library sub, and are redoing those air units out there. So, because it's just extremely, extremely expensive, and to have to replace the big one would be a catastrophe. We've had to redo all of the underground. I don't know if y'all know, but there's a tunnel under the college. That piping, when it froze, was so old that it shrank and fell off the racks. So we've had to replace all that. Neck Brothers has been involved in that work, and almost done. We will be going to our summer hours early this year, starting May 13th, so we can accommodate construction on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when they have to close the air conditioning down for the buildings. Also, with that $6.2 million, we are upgrading all of our lighting, including the back parking lot. Right now, we have some generators out there at night, but we're basically redoing all of the lighting. We have installed security cameras all over the campus now. We also have these special kind of cameras. They're called flock cameras that do license plate recognition. So if there was someone who had some kind of warrant out and they showed up on our campus, we would be able to identify. So, and we put them in on a trial, and 6 weeks later they helped us. We caught somebody who had stole some equipment from the college, roughly $6,700, so paid for 2 cameras in a trial, so it was great. We have also struck a, I know WOW is not really a presidential word, but a WOW deal with the TDCJ. Our goal was to work out a training capacity, to train the lower, I guess it's precinct 2, which is our precinct. In the process, our dean and the work, he was retired from there, he knew exactly what we needed to do. We have somehow managed to land the whole state of Texas in training the correctional officers. And again, the board gave me the authority to work negotiations to allow us to be able to, if they go through the CE and they want to continue their education with us, we are going to give them a deal as working for a state agency that we will give them in-district tuition. I can't put a number on it. If all of the COs go through like they're supposed to, it's a huge number. We don't know what the outcome could be, but it could potentially double our maintenance and operating tax minus all our grants. It's unbelievable. So we'll see how that goes off. I think we'll have to have help to pull that off because it's a monumental undertaking. But we're excited that we were given that opportunity. We also have in works with the inmates, those who are incarcerated, they do things, and we're going to be able to work with them to get them something besides a prison credential, a college credential that would help them maybe find work when they are released. Of course, this is to prevent recidivism. Whew. Okay. House Bill 8, which was passed last year, redid how community colleges are funded in the state. We had a formula, it was not funded at full capacity. We've revamped it. We know that we were doing the lion's share work with dual credit schools. And in this program, I think what's important for you all to know is that they gave us the ability to finally serve educationally and economically disadvantaged, and the state is going to cover $55 per credit hour of those students. Now, the trade-off is the college and the ISD must take care of all the fees. But with our programs, and like we have specifically with AC Jones, I think we have it with Pettis as well, we have Early College High School. Well, they already pay for those fees in those books. So this is going to help both the ISD in that they will get relief from the students who are going to dual credit. They will no longer have to pay tuition. For the college, we have kept our, I'm the bad guy, we have not raised our tuition in over a decade until last year. And given the expenses that we're seeing with all our maintenance materials, I don't have to tell the judges what you all have seen here. We had to do something. Moreover, it's important that we provide the services that we need. And to keep our accreditation, which we had in October, we had 3 discrepancies, none of which were core requirements, which means in June, we will get a green flag, keep going, keep moving, and conquering. The college, because of the wisdom of predecessors to Judge Morrill when he was on the board, they engaged in an activity called Achieving the Dream. And that, we have been in that for 20 years, and the college was recognized for being a legacy college in this just recently. We have also received the Rising Star Award in the pathways. We've moved from, since I've been here, we've moved from Cadre 4 to Cadre 1, which is the most advanced. And we have been doing just a ton of work to ensure that we are improving student success. We also, I guess it was last December, Phi Theta Kappa called and said, we'd like to give you $250,000. And I said, okay, we'll take it. We have, the goal was to create an honors college. We went from, well, let's just say we had a lulling enrollment to 800 members in our PTK, which won the college in our region. We got the most improved college for their work in PTK, and the students, for me, I think this was in the paper a few weeks ago. For me, they nominated me as a Paragon president, and probably the greatest accolade I could have, because this was from the students, not from my bosses or my peers, who, by the way, voted us as a great college to work for. But not all is perfect. There are some down parts to the speech, right, Judge? There's always something. I want to tell you that we have our struggles. There's no doubt about it. Every organization does. One of my largest struggles has been our nursing program. I had to make a decision so we can make changes. We were not permitting students to enroll, and this is in our RN program. We were not allowing students to enroll, and then I didn't have the test scores where I needed them to be in a timely manner. So I, in January, made a decision to pause, not close, but we're not admitting students, we're technically closed, so we can resolve our issues and come back stronger. This is a lot of work that needs to be done, and if we're doing it while we're trying to be in process, we cannot devote the time and energy necessary. And our communities deserve better, quite frankly. This happened on my watch. I take complete responsibility for it, but we have a plan. We did have the scores, actually, that would have moved the college into a passing category and relieved us from probation. But you have to meet deadlines and timeframes, and we didn't. And I had to make a difficult decision, but our goal is to be back on task. We should have the curriculum lined out, reworked, and before the Board of Nursing with our scores, with improved curriculum in the spring. And pretty much that's what's been going on at college. Just a few things.
Thank you so much, Dr.
I think I went over my 5 minutes, so
That's okay.
I appreciate you all giving me the time to speak with you this morning. Thank you very much.
We really appreciate it. I know we all probably have questions. We can't.
I understand.
That.
At any time, sir, if you would just give me a couple weeks or a month advance, I would love to get on the agenda and let you fire away. Well,
Sounds great. We'd love
yes.
that too.
Yeah, after my early comments, I'm sure.
Yeah. So thank you very much for coming,
Absolutely.
Dr. Hoggard. Thank you for all the good work that you're doing and that you're reflecting. Or just
Thank you.
doing at
It is a team effort. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You all have a great day.
Yes, sir. All right, is there anybody else who would like to address Commissioners Court at this time? Moving on, agenda item number 7. The following items are of an administrative nature. Commissioners Court has been furnished documentation on each item, and all such items may be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a commissioner or county judge. I have a motion and I have 2 seconds. Brittany, who'd you hear first? Okay, Commissioner Lenny has a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Moving on, discuss and consider action on the following items. Agenda item number 8, approve the appointment of 2 board members to the Christus Spahn Hospital Board of Directors. I don't have a note for whose agenda items these are. Is this one that this was mine? I entertain a motion to table.
Motion to table.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, my apologies, everybody. I do have some names that have been recommended, but it just the timing issue. I think if we wait a little bit longer, we'll get a better idea of whether or not those individuals are still interested or not. So I think right now it's a little premature. And if anybody's interested in serving this very important local advisory board, please don't hesitate to reach out to commissioners or to my office at 361-358. Is that right? 361-621-1556. I was going to give you the city of Beeville's number. Okay. Did I take a vote? I did. Motion passes without exception. Is that correct? We all voted, right? Yes. I thought so. You're looking at me like we're good there. I had COVID. Got that. Foggy memory. Moving on, agenda item number 9, review employee retirement. Are we ready for this?
I think it's at 10:30.
At 10:30?
That's a commissioner.
I can lead everybody through it, and then if there's any questions, we can bring them back at 10:30. I
Do
think
you want to do that, or you want me to just hold off till the end and we can see how close to 10:30 we get? Okay. So I'm gonna hold off on calling agenda item number 9 until the end of the agenda. We're gonna move on to agenda item number 10, Emergency Operations Center, EOC project update. Commissioner Lenny, you have the floor.
Yes, we had, actually, Commissioner Olivares got with me that he put this on the agenda. We're going to get Jennifer to give us an update.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'm Jennifer Reyna, Grant Administrator for the county, and I am going to give a brief status update on where we are with the EOC building. So let me just do a real quick, brief recap of where we are and what we've had to come to get to this point we are. Our engineer, John Mercer with Lynn Engineering, designed our EOC building, and together with his on-site inspector, Burl, he's providing guidance and oversight throughout the duration of this project. The lead contractor, Victory Building Team, which is stationed out of Corpus Christi, received a notice to proceed for January 2024. With this notice and the help of some local subcontracting companies, they were able to begin the site work on location. This has partly consisted of I apologize. This has partly consisted of evacuation, trenching, and laying rebar, as well as plumbing, electrical, and fiber optic conduits laid out in preparation for the concrete pour. That was a bit of a tongue twister. Last week on Monday, the foundation was poured as a single pour base for the building structure. Next, the metal building is scheduled to arrive today.
All right.
Once it arrives, the erection crew, which is horseshoe erectors, will be on site to receive the building and start laying out the materials in a grid where it's supposed to be on the location on the site. Tomorrow, on Tuesday, Victory will have their safety officer go over protocols and best practices for structural steel erection. It is scheduled to take 2 weeks to complete. After this steel skeleton is erected, the insulation will be installed and interior framing will begin with the rough installation of electrical and plumbing. In other words, it'll start to look like a functional building. The EOC team has received an updated schedule of construction, And as things are progressing, we continue to be on track. Any projects will have their share of challenges, which the EOC have been no different. However, with the EOC's team's constant communication and efforts to make sure that any situation is handled with transparency and inclusion, this project is well on the way to house our emergency management and community affairs employees by mid-October, just in time for the beginning of our next fiscal year. And that is kind of my brief update. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. Commissioners, if y'all want to add anything.
Tim, great summary. Thanks for doing this. I think it's good to let everyone know the progress that we're making and things are moving right along. So
Yes, sir.
thank you for the update.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jen.
Mid-October?
Mid-October.
And how aspirational is that?
I'm sorry.
How aspirational is
It
that?
is, yes, it's going well, I think. I mean, whatever issues that we're coming across, we're fixing right away. And for the metal building to be here and then be pretty ready to erect it by tomorrow, that's fantastic, I think.
Excellent, thank you.
Question is, did we get our sign up as to what it is and who's doing it? Is that up?
I don't think so.
We're gonna get it up before we complete the building, you reckon?
We need to. We'll get with Mr. Mercer.
Yeah, we can push that along, sir.
We'll put
It was
Mercer.
supposed to be done several weeks ago, so
Yes, sir.
just remind whoever's supposed to do the
Well-
sign.
Free bragging rights.
We keep getting questions and we have to explain it, so
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Anything further? I appreciate that update. Moving on to agenda, oh wait.
Gotta follow up.
Okay, with respect to agenda items 11 and 12, we have Mr. Eliseda here today and some of his staff. Should I call agenda item number 12 before I call
They're
agenda
one and the
item
same,
number
Judge.
11?
They're one and the same.
Well, isn't agenda item number 11 approving a
Yes.
budget amendment that would be unnecessary if agenda item number 12 is not approved?
I suppose.
Okay,
Yes,
then I'll
yeah.
call agenda item number 12 first. Approve pay increase for legal assistant Shalise Kano due to taking on additional job duties for Live Oak and McMullen County cases tabled during the April 8th, 2024 regular term meeting. Mr. Eliseda, you have the floor, sir. You may proceed when you're
I'll
ready.
defer to my first assistant.
Okay.
Nick Williams.
Ms. McWilliams, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for your time, but just to follow up on that, the reason why 11 is here is because last week we were asked to table 12 in lieu of the wording for number 11. So that's why both of those are on the agenda. It was the
No worries.
request, just so. Same subject matter though,
Okay.
which is simply that the circumstances have changed within our office, in the district attorney's office. We had a secretary spontaneously quit with no notice last year. At the conclusion of that termination, when she resigned, we then had another assistant have to pick up that load. Shalise Kano has been working since October of last year, doing basically the work of two individuals. As a result of a completely separate situation where the court and everyone approved the appointment of Judge Harvey Hardwick to take over as our second county court at law judge here for the community, that took away our offices in Live Oak County. So we no longer have offices in Live Oak County where we can have a secretary and an investigator and an ADA housed. We're all now housed upstairs with EOC, running out of space. So that previous agenda item is very important to us as well. We do not have space there. So that's the point of it, is the money is already there because that position has not been filled, was already budgeted for our office and has not been filled since November of last year. The money is sitting there. What we're asking to do is take the money that has already been awarded to our office for the purpose of an administrative position and pay somebody who's actually been doing the work this entire time instead of leaving it sit there and have it roll over to reserves. And so the question I assume all of you are going to ask, because it's been asked me, is, well, when we come in for budget, you're going to want to give her a raise. You're absolutely right. I am going to ask for that in budget, but that's not what this is. This is money we already have. That's a battle for another day. Today is just allowing me to move it from one line item to another so that the person who's been doing the work can be appropriately compensated for that work.
You know, I appreciate that. And none of us up here really want to engage in a values discussion, because every B County employee deserves more than they make. Okay? There's no reason why you couldn't be requesting, and it's your budget, it's your funds, and this is certainly something that we're probably going to have very difficult discussions with in May, June, and July with respect to your actual budget. There's nothing that would have prevented y'all, and I don't know why we're not discussing a stipend for an individual who, in theory, is a short-term, and I know it's been since last year, so maybe it's not too short-term, but is understandably deserving of additional compensation for taking on additional job duties that I presume additional job duties. The fact that we have two positions that are the same and only one person in it, I don't know that that doubles their work or if that increases it by 150%. I don't know. And I don't think you do either, in all fairness. But the simple argument, which I understand and is fair, is that we usually have two people to do this work in our office, and we've only had one for some time. Why are we not talking about just providing a stipend to her that doesn't change her salary position, so that come October 1st, if you are not successful in your budgetary request to increase the salary of this position, her salary doesn't actually go down. She still has the same salary. She just doesn't, well, and maybe she continues to have a stipend in that next. Why are we not talking about stipends? Why are we talking about changing salaries mid-budget year?
Well,
That would
I
be the
think
question.
it's recognition of the work that's been done as opposed to a short-term.
We can't do that. We can't recognize work that's already been done by, paying salaries in the past. So that can't be a justification. The justification is that she's doing additional work that she wouldn't otherwise have to do if you had this additional staff position filled, which you don't. And so you want to accommodate her for the additional work that she's needing to do for your office. So again, why would a stipend not solve that problem?
I guess my confusion is the money is just sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
not being used.
Right.
And I'm trying to use the money that was already budgeted for us. So
Right, I
that's
understand
that's my confusion, is why is calling it a stipend? We're in the no different position where I'm simply asking to use money that's already allotted to our
No,
office.
it's fundamentally different because you're asking Commissioner's Court to change this individual's salary. It has nothing to do with misconduct. You're asking this Commissioner's Court to change a salary mid-budget year based on the individual person's particular circumstances, when those same issues could be resolved with a stipend.
Well, I
Does that
think
make
it's
sense?
exceptional circumstances. I don't think these are typical circumstances that have gone on in our office. It has been incredibly difficult to get anybody to take on joining the office during this time frame with the things going on. And so it's recognition of that.
And again, the county cannot provide compensation for work that's already been done. The justification and what you're saying is, look, she's doing all this extra work, and it's not fair that she's not compensated for this additional work that she's being provided. And my point is, and again, I'd put the question to the other commissioners, because I'm only one voice, is why are we talking about changing a salary of a position mid-budget year when the same solution, you have available funds, you can redeploy those funds in the form of a stipend rather than changing her salary? Does that make sense?
I think what you're saying, Judge, is she'll be making exactly what you want her to, but it won't be a change in her salary. That way, if you fill the other position, now you'd have a problem.
Does that make sense? And we've got other agenda items that are coming up, and folks, why are we talking about changing salaries mid-budget year?
She's gonna get the same amount of money, but it's called a stipend instead of a
I'm
salary.
trying to give you what you're asking for without giving you what it is that you're asking for, because what you're asking for is to actually change the line item on the budget as to this position, legal assistant 1, salary level, which then we're gonna have to talk in budget time. Am I going to keep that, is that actually gonna be presented, that new salary request that you have for this individual for legal assistant number 1? Well, what are we gonna do with legal assistant number 2? Because now the two numbers are you recommending, or you're not recommending to eliminate that position because it's a need that your office has. So again, I would ask you the question, what is the difference between changing her salary and providing her stipend if she receives the exact same thing that you're asking for this morning from Commissioner's Court? Do you have any objection to that? And if so, I'd like to know why.
Judge, we don't have an objection to that. Just call it a stipend, call it a budget amendment, whatever.
Why don't we do something like that? Let's get to though, before I've stepped way all over your toes. Maybe I should get your insight
you're
first.
doing great. Stipend is, if it's allowable by the court, we can definitely reallocate those funds to that position for the duration of the fiscal year.
Okay.
And the funds are already there, Ms. McWilliams.
Right, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah,
Funds are there.
A simple change like that wouldn't.
We're just gonna call it a stipend instead of
We're not changing the salary.
Yeah, Judge, great explanation on a stipend. And I wasn't aware that we had the ability to do a stipend. So just so everyone could kind of relate to this, in the private sector, we're following almost the same policy as in accounting. They do not change raises during mid-year. However, they do provide what we call a stipend, extra recognition award, SRA, things of that nature in order to help compensate that individual that went above and beyond on what their capabilities are. Just another way, another form, but it's staying within the bylaws of the county. So great point.
And I'm looking at the documentation that you provided, that your office provided, Ms. McWilliams. Do we know what the difference in what we're looking at, like what the actual number would be?
The bi-weekly salary increase, is that what you're
Yes,
asking me? It's $14.64, 32 cents.
Okay, so that's the requested increase.
Right.
So the stipend request would be to provide a biweekly salary stipend in the amount of $1,464.42 through this budget year or until such time as receptionist, legal assistant number 2 position is filled in your office.
No, I would say this, that just for your information, like we're seeking to fill that secretary position too. But like you said, the fiscal year has already, this position's gone so unfilled for so long, there's still that amount of money to cover this for this time period for legal assistant 1. We have hired somebody for legal assistant 2, so I don't want to say I only want her stipend to exist until we hire somebody. That's why I'm making sure that's clear.
Well, that's a different statement altogether, Ms. McWilliams. With all due respect, the position that we're trying to provide a stipend to as a result of the fact that the other position is unfilled is no longer unfilled. So
But
we're providing a stipend for her past efforts. I don't think we can do that under the law.
It's not past efforts, it's continued efforts. Their titles have changed. As you can see, well, I don't know what document you have. What I have shows legal assistant 1 proposed salary underneath it, receptionist, legal assistant 2. That's how the titles have changed. The legal assistant 2 is a receptionist. The legal assistant 1 has taken on all these additional duties that the receptionist is not doing.
So the amount has been pulled from the receptionist that y'all just hired, is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, I thought you said you
I don't think we can compensate, and correct me if I'm wrong, we got a lot of lawyers, we got a former county judge, we got commissioners who've been on the Commissioner's Court for a long time, we got county attorney who's been here for a long time. HR is present, auditor is present. Can we compensate county employees for past efforts, for past work? Can we legally do that? Because I thought that was something that we can't do.
Short answer, no. That's one of the things that's written in stone in the county government, but you can go forward. But,
Right, but that's what, and so
I'm
now,
saying she's still continuing to do it. That's what,
I get it.
I think the
But
discrepancy.
you filled the other position then? Both of them?
I
full?
filled a receptionist position, allowing for the additional work that the legal assistant one had already taken on to remain her responsibility. The other woman is answering the phone.
What salary does the receptionist legal assistant to have?
34, it should be on that document, 34,663.
And that's the budgeted salary?
Yes.
So that 8,800 that's on here, Tiffany, is that the, is that what's left?
The remain,
Yeah, this one
Yes.
here, right?
if it's paid out as we're talking, there's still gonna be in that line budget item, $8,801.
Okay,
Like, that's why I'm saying, is like the
yeah,
and
okay.
it's there, it's already budgeted for it. For those, they're out of the same line item. Both of those salaries are out of the same line item.
It's cookie, it's
So what's not on here is the exact amount of the stipend, unless you do the 1,464.42 minus $1,333.19. Then that's the amount of the stipend times 13, because that amount is not on here. And that's plus benefits. So we don't have the exact amount of
To make it a
the
stipend.
Yeah. So I wanna put that to-
That's just the salary amount that's on there.
Any commissioners have any other questions?
I'm not sure what we're doing. I'll be honest with you. I'm confused now. When we found out that we refilled that position, but we want to pay a stipend for this position, now, are you gonna try to reclassify it during the budget process?
Well, they're still called legal assistants, but their job descriptions are different. And their job descriptions have been changed. Again, the first person is just simply answering the phones. Because we no longer have an office where we can put a full legal assistant. It doesn't exist. I don't have a place for that person to go.
Okay, so, bear with me here a minute. So we're gonna pay a stipend to this person that's doing the extra
That
work.
did the work of
Okay,
two.
are we gonna look at them in this next budget and move them up in the budget in their salary?
I'm hoping to move them up, yes, to the 38 that this stipend would get them to.
So the
Yes.
stipend is only gonna be like from now till September 30th?
Correct.
Okay.
And again, that's already budgeted for. That's what I'm saying. Is like, that's,
We've got another agenda.
money's there.
We've got an agenda item coming up in just a minute where the sheriff's office wants to have the county increase salaries for its employees that aren't part of, aren't available for SB 22. We have the county attorney's office, which is trying to find a way to increase salaries utilizing SB 22, but they have a concurrent desire to increase the salaries based on need of their staff. My office, you're telling me Candy Estrada's salary is $36,000 and you're justifying a receptionist who isn't a legal assistant at $34,000. My opinion is that this is something we can discuss in budget, but I don't see the justification for a stipend at this stage. I don't think that's how county government should work. I don't understand it. I don't support this, but I'll entertain a motion at this time, or if there's additional discussion. If there's additional discussion that you want to provide to the board, I'm happy to hear it. I'm not angry. I'm just frustrated because I wanted to give it, but I just, my concerns outweigh my desire to accommodate.
I didn't realize the second position was filled.
Just filled April 1st.
And I do have one, and this is not relevant 100%, but I do have one job description in our packet. You said a few times that the job description for receptionist, legal assistant has changed, but it hasn't been changed at the county. Has our job description for that position changed? Has it been actually, do we have a different job description, or are you just saying, well, we're just treating them differently? Because again, we're getting back to the point of these are budget discussions, and if you have somebody who's not going to be a legal assistant, who's going to be a receptionist, should their salary be the same as somebody who is going to provide be a legal assistant, whatever that term means? In my world, I would say it means whatever this legal assistant job description page says from our HR department. Does that make sense?
I don't have that in front of me, but
Do you have a different job description from HR department for your receptionist, legal assistant too.
I don't know what you have, so I don't know if my description is different. Okay, it's not. That's what I'm.
I was gonna say, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, this is a public document, it's in our packet, I don't know what to say. Any further discussion? Are there any motions to be made? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 11. Approve budget amendment and/or line item transfer of unexpended funds from Fund 27 Reserves or Fund 106 to increase the salary of a legal assistant that took on additional duties from Live Oak and Macmillan counties. I presume this presentation is unnecessary at this time as no motion was made on agenda item number 12. Is there any motion to be made on agenda item number 11? Hearing none, we'll move on. Agenda item number 13, approve use of funding from the Salary Assistance Senate Bill 22 grant program for the County Attorney's Office tabled during the April 8th, 2024 regular term meeting. Mr. Watson, you have the floor, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Judge, SB 22, the gift that keeps on giving with lots of strings attached. When I think about it, I think about the scene from Indiana Jones where he's reaching out in the temple to grab the golden idol head. And then when he does, the giant stone comes crushing down. The stone here being the Comptroller's office. Court, we are trying to find ways to distribute this money in a way that is fair and equitable to all of the employees that work in the County Attorney's Office. We have a small staff, and we have $175,000 to distribute amongst that small staff. Under the current understanding or the plain reading of the bill, only 2 of our employees are eligible to receive salary increases from that pool of money. That's the Assistant County Attorney and our Victims Assistance Coordinator. The plan that we presented to the last Commissioners Court meeting was essentially to reclassify our paralegals as Victims Assistance Coordinators. Certainly, every legal assistant that works in our office deals with victims on a daily basis and provides services for victims. We thought reclassifying those positions was certainly an accurate description, and we were also going to provide new training for them and additional job responsibilities. We've checked, part of the reason we asked for this to be tabled last time is we wanted to double check with the Comptroller's office. We're certainly not the only office that has kind of proposed a plan similar to this. I've been in contact with lawyers from TAC, the legal research lawyer from TDCAA, the Prosecutors Association, and with Mr. Callahan from the Comptroller's office. At this time, the Comptroller's office is taking a position that each county can only have 1 Victims Assistance Coordinator. Now, that is nowhere in the government code. It is nowhere in the criminal code procedure. So where they have come up with that idea, I don't know, but that's the position they're taking. So as far as we're concerned, we don't want to propose a plan to this court that could leave us with liability at the end of the year if the Comptroller tries to come and claw back those funds. So we're not proposing that at this time. Our plan B, that we are still waiting on a response from the Comptroller's office, deals with reapportionment. Obviously, we have some grant restricted funds. We also have a rule that says the county cannot reduce the budget of any prosecutor's office or sheriff's office to compensate for the grant funds. So we have grant restricted funds and we have county funds. We would like to come up with a proposal that balances those so that our employees, very hardworking employees, paralegals, can receive some of the benefit of those grant restricted funds, but obviously they can't receive them. So there might be some balancing of county funds and grant funds that we'll have a proposal for you at a later date if the Comptroller approves such a plan. If they don't, we're kind of stuck. But that leaves us with, what do you have in front of you today? Well, we have the money, it's sitting in our county coffers. We need to move forward in some capacity. And like I said, there's only 2 qualified positions right now. So we are putting forth a limited request. The numbers have been sent to the auditor's office. Do you have those in front of you? Okay. So basically, we are looking at the Victims Assistance Coordinator grant salary increase of $33,683.64. That's with that's the salary increase. There's also benefit increase there of $4,904.71. Those numbers have been checked through HR as well. And then the assistant county salary increase of $51,450 with a grant benefit increase of $7,784 $1,022.96. So you have both the benefit increase and the salary increases both being paid out of grant funds, so there's no additional cost to the county whatsoever. Commissioner?
And this would be effective when?
This will be effective today.
Okay.
So here's the other thing to think about. The money that we have, the SB 22 funds that we've been given, were given for this fiscal year. In fact, the first year of that bill, SB 22 said if courts wanted to go ahead and start raising the salaries proactively, they could then backfill once the funds have arrived. Some offices chose to do that, some offices chose to wait. We waited until we made sure that we had the funds and we had a cohesive proposal for the court. That being said, we have all that money that we have to expend during this fiscal year. So those salary increases would basically take effect now and basically need to be paid out fully by the end of our fiscal year, because there's a whole new pool of money that should come for fiscal year 24-25.
For the two positions.
For two positions.
Now, is your money like sheriff's office money? What you don't use for this, you can use for something else?
No, sir.
You cannot use it for
No.
anything else at all?
No.
No equipment or anything?
No.
No, and we're certainly, this proposal is not using even half of the funding, that we have. So, there's still some things we want to do. I think at a later date, again, if we get some guidance from the comptroller on reapportioning how the county funds are used, perhaps it would be possible to cut the county funding, let's say for the assistant county attorney position, backfill that completely with grant funds, and then you have extra county funds that aren't restricted that you could do whatever you'd like with. So that's something we're going to still check into. We want to make sure that we have all the T's crossed, the I's dotted on this, so that there's no issue when we're moving to the next fiscal year.
Do we, in your communications with the comptroller's office or anybody else, do we have an idea or a likelihood? I'm going to ask the other departments to get up here on SB 22 as well. Is this going to continue to be funded? Are they talking like it is? Or, I mean, does it look positive, or does it look like, use it while you get it because it's not going to last?
Well, certainly, this is probably one of the messages of that massive budget surplus we had last session. So it's hard to predict the future of what that's going to look like in Texas. I think with the way things are going, it seems like we are going to have another surplus. Typically, historically, law enforcement, public safety funding is the last thing to get cut out of budgets. Once it's in there, it's hard to get rid of. I would anticipate it going forward. The message that we've given our staff and that we've had discussions on is do not expect these funds to remain forever. Don't go take out a mortgage based on this funding. Don't go buy a new car. Treat it as kind of a 1 year or 2 year gift, because we don't know for sure that it will be renewed. And so that is certainly a concern. I'm not anticipating that it will get cut. I think there's a very good likelihood that it'll be renewed. I think that we'll probably clean up a lot of the language and probably ease some of the restrictions on how the money is spent, because there's some very illogical things with the restrictions. For instance, we're not allowed to pay or raise the salaries of our paralegals, but we could always hire a new one at whatever rate we wanted. Kind of ludicrous.
Yeah, no, I understand all that. I appreciate that. I didn't know if in your discussions if they said anything about it at all, or
no one really knows.
No one really knows. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Watson. Any questions? Further questions? Entertain a motion.
Judge, I'll make a motion that we approve the two positions that are allocated in the Senate bill that are set up that are eligible for this funding.
I'll second. I've got a motion and a second. You're getting it, Commissioner Olivares? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Moving on, agenda item number 14.
Permission to excuse.
Permission granted. Thank you. Agenda item number 14, approved use of funding from the Rural Law Enforcement Senate Bill 22 grant program for the Sheriff's Office tabled during the April 8th, 2024 regular term meeting. Chief Deputy Jones, you have the floor, sir.
Jones, East County Sheriff's Office. Talking to TAC, Sheriff's Association of Texas, and various legal people, we've been assured, even through the comptroller, that this grant is in perpetuity.
Oh, good. That's I'm just curious to know what the state is saying about this, because I think it's
Everybody
awesome.
I've talked to says it's, no doubt it's the same, but of course, things change. We have a couple different proposals we're asking for you, look at the last one.
Okay.
This is for a 4%, $4,000 raise through the Senate Bill 22 for the affected employees. And that's weighing in the benefits package for 59 employees. With the benefits package, it's $276,000. This would leave $73,000 a year for equipment costs. Of course, this year, being halfway through the year, that equipment cost is going, we're not going to spend all the salary money. So we'll be more for equipment this year.
I'm sorry to interrupt
Okay.
you. I'm looking up.
You need to label them 1, 2, or 3.
There's 3. Oh,
Yes,
I had
it's
gone
gonna be
far
this
enough.
one. It's the one with the 59 eligible
Right.
and the 4,000 increase.
I was looking at one, it's different than.
The 59
Leave
eligible on
69.
top.
All right.
Yeah,
Actually, this came over to item number 15.
It came in item 15.
Page 125.
Ah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
sorry about that.
Hold you, deputy, please proceed.
45.
Okay.
At one time, we thought all the employees could be covered, they cannot be. We're running the same problem as county attorney's office and district attorney's office. But this is what's set in stone, what we can do. It would cost us $276,000 with about $73,000 a year for equipment. Now, considering fairness as well as concerns about retention, there's 12 people that aren't affected, and there are some concerns about retention. We're asking the remaining 12 employees to get a $4,000 stipend at the end of the year, so we can discuss it.
You learn that word.
That's a word.
Sharpest county employee working for you, I guarantee you. That's why him and Stacy wrote it.
I totally saw your point. This is a budget matter. I want to get these people paid like the rest of them. It's only fair. We do have, right now, the cost to the county for that, for the 12 employees, is listed with benefits at $56,000. That would be considerably less because we're halfway through the budget year. I think the auditor would agree with me. We have unspent salaries that we can use for that.
And I
Well, I haven't
appreciate
looked
it.
at the amount of unspent salaries, so I have not seen that number.
You know, but I appreciate the point, and you know, my same comments that I had to make with the district attorney's presentation, I would make with the sheriff's office presentation as well. I don't support a change in salary mid-budget, and it is not fair that this windfall does not equally devolve upon all B County employees. That could be said outside of your department. The job that the folks, and I don't want to be, you got one back there looking at me. As far as administrative staff goes, that's really different than, I'm surprised that the state didn't include dispatchers with everybody else, given the nature of what they do, the requirements, the obligations. But I just can't, I get it, I understand it. I know we'll have these discussions this summer about fairness from a budgetary standpoint at this stage. I want to deploy, I want to accommodate all our entities deploying as much of SB 22 as they can, but I don't want to start making changes to the budget, and I don't want to get to the habit of providing stipends for people doing the same job that they were doing the day before, or that we're doing additional work that aren't anymore. I guess I get to be the bad guy, so I'll be the bad guy, and that's my position, and I apologize if it offends
The
you.
only thing I would interject with that is, as you well know, retention has been a huge issue at the sheriff's office. Not only with jailers, we're full now, but with dispatchers and retention of weapons.
No, I get it, I understand that, Chief Deputy, I really do. Commissioner?
Yes, I'm sorry, Judge, yeah. Chief Deputy, I totally agree with the concerns, and if y'all heard me in the past, I truly believe that our people are our number one asset. However, one of the biggest concerns, I'd like to echo what the judge was saying, is because we're out of the budget year, create some challenges. There are other groups within our county that would also like to see some adjustments as well, and whether we frame it as far as a change in salary or we call it as a stipend, it's still falling outside of that because it's not fair across the board. And I totally recognize that. And those individuals should be compensated some kind of way. And this is probably something that ought to be held off when we start the budget year to bring that information back.
And the only other interjection I put to that is we have the money. It wouldn't cost county per se if we have the budget.
I understand that.
Judge, if I could, I think the problem I have, if we're not gonna do it for the district attorney's office, we can't do it for the sheriff's office either. It wouldn't be, I couldn't feel right about it if we say no to you, yes to you, and it's not, fairness comes in on that aspect also. And we had a lengthy discussion with Ms. McWilliams with the court on why we couldn't do it. I'm the first one to say, man, let's get all the money we can from folks, but doing this in the middle of a budget year, we've got special, let's call it permission to do this with this Senate Bill 22 money, but ordinarily we don't entertain that sort of thing at all.
No, I truly understand.
It hurts me not to be able to do it. Now, let me ask this question. You had theoretically moved money to take care of these other 9 to 11, 12 people. Can that money be plowed back now as salaries in these others, these 59?
No.
It cannot.
Well, it can, but it'd be very minimal. We have an excess right now of $73,000. We could add more money, but this is what we come.
Okay. So the grant, the way I read this is kind of the way we look at these others. The grant says we can do 59 employees.
Yes.
Judge, are we ready for a motion?
Well, which option is it that we're looking at?
It's this one right here.
And
Page 125.
once again, the other proposals, and I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong. No, my other proposals.
And he also has
Right,
the
that's what I was like,
backup.
which one are we looking at?
He also has the backup, and this is what my office provided to the increases and the leftover amounts, if you want to see.
So to summarize, under this proposal, jailers would move to 41,328, and the starting deputy would make 47,000.
Yes, without the 94 miles, that's basically.
And by doing this, are we gonna be able to keep the, what's the right word? The distance between
Yes.
a deputy and a sergeant and a lieutenant?
Well, that's why we
Yes.
include 59 employees, right?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's all of them. It goes
Okay.
up, it goes up
Okay.
to higher.
Just do what we can with what the money we have.
And then the remaining money we can utilize for equipment or
Yes.
something else?
Right.
So it's
Yes.
not like the county attorney's office where that may be clawed back. We can use every penny.
Yes.
So that's the second option? Or that one is?
Well, they weren't numbered,
That
but
one's-
it's that.
It's
that
page
one.
125.
Page 125.
So, yeah, that's it right there. Okay. Except for the last two paragraphs?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, if there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion at this time.
Judge, if you will, I'll make a motion. We have a grant allowance of $350,000. There are 51 employees affected by the grant that can be positively affected.
59.
I'm sorry,
59.
59. The jailers have moved to 41,328. The starting deputy would be 47,000. I would recommend, and I'll make a motion to approve this as written.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without
And this
exception.
would be effective today, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is that as soon as we can get it in, Mr. HR Director? That's fine, sir. Thank you.
Yes, and we'll get all of this new documentation in next, as far as budget amendments and for the new
Next
fund that was
agenda.
created, yes.
So it'll be effective from
Yes,
this
sir.
day.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, Chief Deputy. Don't go anywhere. Is this agenda item number 15 is moot at this point?
Yes.
Okay, I'll call the agenda, but then I'll pass on it. Agenda item number 15, approved use of funding from Rural Law Enforcement Senate Bill 22 grant program with request for additional county funding to cover a pay increase of non-grant qualifying positions for the sheriff's office. We're going to go ahead and pass on that agenda item. I would say this as well. I would really like, and I've been thinking about it a lot this weekend. I think actually for 2 weeks since, Chief Jones had sent me, what he had wanted to do. And I really appreciate you coming to me beforehand and giving me a chance to look at it and digest it. I know this isn't on the agenda, but I would really like our salary committee to get together. I think that we need to look at how our employees are being compensated. Again, seriously, I don't think we need to go out for a salary study. I don't think we need to do anything formal like that, but I think we really need to try to find a way, with all the state money that's swirling around, and given the fact that we do have limited resources, I would like to know early on in the budget process what resources we have available that we can make meaningful increases potentially across the board to our employees this budget year. And we all know it's going to be tight no matter what happens with valuations, which I'm sure they're going down across the county this year. But whatever happens with that, I think this meeting today really highlights kind of how some of the negatives to having all these windfalls that have conditions tied to them.
Okay. We'll work on
That's
it.
why I asked for it. Once again, retention is going to be an issue.
Yeah, I understand. I fully understand that.
I think our salary chair's already got something in the works and lined up. So
Yes.
They're just looking for guidance. Thank you all so much. Okay, moving on, agenda item number 16, approved memorandum of understanding between the Children's Advocacy Center of the Coastal Bend and the Sheriff's Office. Do you have any presentation for this?
Just red tape.
Just red.
Yes.
Are we the red tape?
Yes.
I'd entertain a motion to approve. I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 17, approved Texas opioid settlement agreements. We have no settlement agreement, so we'll move on. Agenda item number 18, Hurricane Harvey, Texas General Land Office Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, status and project update. Do we have
Judge, there's no update at this time.
Okay, moving on. Agenda item number 19, American Rescue Plan, ARP status and projects. Gentlemen?
Sir.
Nothing? All right, we'll move on. It is 10:21. We've almost made it to 10:30. Well, why don't we, I think that's code for, can we take a break? The court will be in recess. We'll reconvene about 10:30, 10:35. Please don't go anywhere. No, I think everybody's done listening to me talk today. Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. The time is 10:38 a.m. We're back from a brief break. Today remains Monday, April 22nd, 2024, and we remain at the same location that we were at before. This is a special called meeting. And we had taken a brief break to reconvene only to call agenda item number 9, review employee retirement, Texas County District Retirement System, TCDRS, plan contributions tabled during the April 8th, 2024 regular term meeting. This is Commissioner DeWitt's item. Commissioner, you have the floor, sir.
Judge, Commissioner, I appreciate it. This is something that is out of sight, out of mind, that is, I'll be honest, it's never looked at. I've only been working for B County for 24 years, and it's never been looked at. It's something I look at. I taught a retirement system for the state of Texas, Parks and Wildlife. I also taught it with the county. This is something that helps retention of employees. A lot of people don't realize until they retire how much they're going to get. Sometimes that's all they have, and it came to light the other night. Commissioner Olivares and I were sitting at a table with a 38-year veteran of county employment, and I was thinking then, this impacts that individual for the rest of their life. One of the things that I used to ask in my retirement class, how long are you going to be retired? And I would have 40, 50 people out there, and I would say, how many of y'all going to be retired 5 years? They'd raise their hand. How many 10 years? They'd raise their hand. I said, why only 5 years? They said, what do you mean? I said, you're going to die in 5 years? I said, when you retire, you're retired. You may get another career, but a lot of times you're going to be retired longer than you work. You're going to be retired 30 years. So you need to do everything you possibly can to maximize that retirement benefit while you're working. And that's what I'm bringing this to the court to try to do. Right now, and this is, I don't know when this was put in place, but there are different options that counties can subscribe to as far as the retirement benefit that we pay in as a county toward that employee. The employee pays in $1. Right now, the county's paying in $1.75. The options that you have before you is go to $2, $2.25, $2.50. Surrounding counties, I presented the court with a list of what the surrounding counties are doing. Most surrounding counties are $2.50. The only county that's different than B County is Goliad County. They're at $1.50. They're let's call it they don't have a great financial resource there. I'm sure they're strapped. Maybe they just haven't looked at it in the last 20 or 30 years. But your HR director, Jaime Castillo, and I looked at this. We got with TCDRS, came up with a bunch of numbers. We have TCDRS on the Zoom today to ask any questions we might have. We have the dollar amount at the bottom of the page that I cut and pasted on here to show you what it's going to cost the county. There is a cost. Remember, this cost that you see is not for a whole year. 3 months out of the year will be gone. If the court decides to do something today, we have to do the paperwork, and it goes into effect in January. So you're looking at 3 months, it won't be effective. There's a cost, ongoing cost at all times to the county. We support the retirement system for the employees. It's a good thing, and it's a decent retirement, it's good. But anything we can do to maximize it, to help our employees, it not only helps them, it helps their beneficiaries when they pass away. It's a little thing, and the way this is structured, it's called past and future. It will go back. If you're a current county employee and you have 10 years, this will go back and cover you from that first year. Now, you think, well, that's going to be a lot of money. No, it's not. But every little dollar helps, and it puts that money in the pot. The way the county retirement system works, it's based on how much money you have in the pot, and it's allocated back to you. As opposed to a state system, which is based on year of service and this sort of thing. It's totally different. So with that note, do we have any questions before we get Ms. Aldridge on?
No, let's go ahead and get
Please.
Ms. Aldridge. Good morning, ma'am. Can you identify yourself for
Morning.
the record?
My name is Roxanne Aldridge. I'm an employer service representative with Texas County District Retirement System.
Thank you so much for being here this morning.
So, thank you for having me. It's been a while. We're going to first look at your plan assessment, and everyone should have a copy in front of you. It starts off with plan assessment for plan year 2025. I know the screen is a little bit difficult to see, what John had said, so I asked Jaime to print everything out. So I'll just kind of point you to where we're going, to what we're looking at. Since it has been a while, as I go through the plan assessment, I will give you your options that you get to select from on an annual basis as the governing body of the county. So B County joined TCDRS January 1st, 1973, so it's been with us for quite some time. Your current level of benefits are as follows. Employee deposit rate of 7%. This is the highest that you can select for your employees. Your options are 4, 5, 6, or 7. This amount is taken out, as you know, as employees of the county, before taxes from each paycheck that your employees receive. So an employee's account balance is made up of the 7% from each paycheck that they receive, as well as the 7% compounded interest that's set by Texas legislature. Now the county is providing a match at retirement. So it's important to understand that this, although you're saving in advance for this match, it is not provided to someone unless they actually retire. So when you have those employees, they quit and they leave, if they're not vested, that means they're never going to become eligible to retire. Or if they withdraw their account, they can take out the money they put in, plus the interest is earned, but they cannot touch the matching funds. So that's one big reason why you're not paying dollar for dollar what your employees put in. So the matching can be anywhere between 100% all the way up to 250 in any number divisible by 5. Currently, you're at 175%. The match can be increased or decreased on an annual basis. If it's ever decreased, it's from next January forward. So the past will stay at the higher match, and then you'll have the future at a lower match. When you increase the match, you have two options. You can make it go past and future. So it's going to go back to 1973 when you joined TCDRS and cover any lower matches that you've had previously in place. And then, of course, it will continue on into the future. The other option is to make it go future only. And that means it will just go from January forward. And I believe what we're visiting with today is past and future. I also have the numbers for future only if you're interested in seeing those.
Yes.
Let's take a look at your eligibility requirements. There are 3 requirements in place, whichever one your employees are eligible. They meet first, they're eligible to retire. They don't have to meet every single one of them. The first one is age 60 and your current vesting. So you have an 8-year vesting in place. The only option there is to lower it to a 5-year vesting if you ever chose to do so. The second way to become eligible to retire is the rule of 75, which says age plus years of service has to equal to 75. There are no other options to change the rule of. And then the last one is 30 years of service at any age. So that just means somebody who starts at 20, 30 years later, at age 50, they would be eligible to retire. That can be lowered to 20 years of service at any age if you chose to do so. So I'm going to call that your level of benefits. So employees put in 7%, match 175 at retirement, and then the 3 eligibility requirements that we just went over. If you look under the section retirement plan funding and go down to the line that is labeled required rate, that's the cost of your plan. So for next year, for 2025, if you make no changes to the benefits we just discussed, your cost is 6.29% of payroll. This is a slight decrease. Currently, you're paying 6.31%. So the cost of your plan will change. It will either increase or decrease each year based on what happened to the plan the previous year. The percent of payroll that you send in for next year, 6.29% of your payroll, is actuarially determined. That means our actuaries make educated assumptions about the future, and depending on how they're met or not met, that's what's going to adjust your cost every single year. And on the last page of this report, it has a 5-year history of reasons for rate change, and we're going to take a look at that in a second. Let's scroll down to the bottom of the page under valuation results. All of the numbers we're visiting with are based on a snapshot on December 31st of 2023. So every single December 31st, we take a snapshot of your plan. Our actuaries compare what they assumed was going to happen versus what actually happened, and that adjusts your rate for the following year. We do that to make sure you don't overpay or underpay for the benefits that you have promised your employees. So your actuarial accrued liability, that is the cost of your plan as of December 31st, 2023, is $36.6 million. The assets available to pay for that, and that includes both employee and employer contributions, $35.9 million. The difference between the two is the $708,000. That is your unfunded liability. Your plan is 98.1% funded. It is a very good funded ratio. System-wide average is about 89%. We do have employers that are over 100% funded, and we have employers that are closer to that system-wide average of 89%. So every employer is responsible for maintaining their own plan. Are there any questions so far?
Please proceed.
Thank you. I will note under the notes, the second note, the last COLA, 1999. Once your employees retire, changes to the level of benefits we just went over will not impact them. The only thing that will impact the retiree is if the court passes a cost of living adjustment for retirees. It's not automatic. It's something that you would have to decide when you saw fit. And I just wanted to point out that the last cost of living adjustment for retirees was done in 1999. Let's skip to page number 3. And it starts off with reasons for rate change. It has a graph of your required rate, which is the cost of your plan over the last 5 years. And then under the graph, it's a table format showing you the actual numbers. I will look at the last column, headed 2024-2025. And this is telling you why your rate went slightly down for 2025. So currently you're paying 6.31% of payroll. So same level of benefits, nothing's changed, it's just a touch higher. We don't know if you're going to make any changes for next year. Any number in that column that's a negative number, it's actually a positive experience. It's subtracting from your beginning rate, and vice versa. If it's a positive number, it's a negative experience because it's adding to your beginning rate. So we had a little over 10.5% investment return for last year, and we passed on our gains to our employers as well as set money aside into reserves. So that impacted your plan by lowering your required rate by 0.05%. Anytime we have gains or losses from investment return, we smooth them out, we spread them out over a 5-year period, and that really helps cushion the impact on your rate, and that prevents your rate from going really high or really low on an annual basis. The demographic and other changes, which increased your rate by 0.06%, that has to do with experience on your local level, such as, did your payroll go up as we anticipated or not? Did people retire when we assumed they were going to retire? Did people quit and withdraw their money the way that we assumed they're going to quit and withdraw their money? So in some years, as our actuary says, it's a 50-50 chance that that's going to be either positive or negative experience on an annual basis. So for this year, it increased your rate slightly by 0.06%. And then the assumptions and methods, every 4 years our actuaries look at the assumptions that they put in place 4 years ago, and they do a reality check, and if need be, they adjust those assumptions to make sure that we're in line with what's really happening. So what they adjusted was the demographic assumption, the one we just visited with, due to more people passing away, more people terminating and withdrawing their money. That resulted in a positive experience for your plan. So when you're adding and subtracting everything in that column, that's how we came up with 6.29% for 2025. And your funded ratio stays pretty much the same, 98.1% funded for next year. Are there any questions?
The
Well, no, please proceed. I'll wait until you're done.
Now, Commissioner DeWitt, I believe you want to visit with match increases of past and future. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's what we will look at. And you should also have this in front of you. You should have two that look pretty similar. Please look for the one that under the match, the 250, for example, it says past and future and not future only. So we're going to visit with the past and future option. The left column titled Current Plan, this is what you're currently providing. This is what we just went over in the plan assessment. And then there are 3 proposed plans, and I'm just going to go through them and just point out a couple of the numbers so you can understand the impact. Let me remind you again, going past and future means the deposits from current employees and former employees that still have an open account will now be matched at the new higher match. So as long as they haven't retired and they have an open account, increasing the match past and future goes all the way back to 1973 when you joined TCDRS, and then will also continue into the future. So 250% past and future, scroll down, or I'm going to scroll down. Under retirement plan funding, the required rate for next year goes from 6.29% up to 17.47% of payroll. We do not keep your payroll information, so if you wanted to see what that means in terms of dollars, all you have to do is multiply that by your budgeted payroll or your anticipated payroll for next year, your estimate, if you're not quite there yet, I think is what Jaime has said. And that's going to give you the difference of what that means. And then going down, under valuation results, you see that the actuarial accrued liability line increases, which is the cost of your plan, from $36.6 million to $42.1 million. The assets remain the same because we haven't done anything to change the assets. The unfunded liability goes from $700,000 and change to $6.2 million, and it makes your plan 85.2% funded. You can see how 225 and 200% past and future compare as well. So the required rate now goes to 13.74 for 225 past and future, and 10.01 for the 200% match. And then if we were to look at the bottom numbers, you can see how the cost changes, the liability, accrued liability, to $40.3 million for the 225 match increase and 38.4 for the 200%. And then funded ratio also will change accordingly. So for the 225 match, it's 89.1%. For the 200, it's 93.4% funded.
Roxanne, if I could, when we were talking the other day, didn't you say that the statewide average is 200%?
That is correct. Okay. Yes. The match average for our employers is 200%.
Okay.
There was I waited too long. Let me ask you this: the funded ratio, a factor of that going down. That's not something that is that something that we can control? We can reduce our deposits into the account and have an unfunded component. We can drop that from 98 to 89.
Absolutely. So it's really, the funded ratio is just a correlation between the cost of your plan and the assets available to pay for it. So currently it's just showing that you have 98% of the cost of your plan is covered by your assets. As you enhance your plan, if you choose to do so, then because the cost of your plan increases and your assets remain the same, the funded ratio will decrease. Now, there are several options that you have. First of all, before even going into them, let me tell you that the way TCDRS is structured is that just by paying your required rate month after month, year after year, you're moving towards 100% funded. part of your required rate, let's take a look at the 225. The required rate is made up the normal cost as well as the UAAL, or the unfunded accrued actuarial liability rate. And you can see how your unfunded accrued actuarial liability rate changes across the plans as well. So when you're sending it to 13.74 for next year for increasing your match, part of it pays down that unfunded liability that's associated with increasing your match back to 1973.
And if we
The
don't.
normal cost.
I'm sorry, Roxanne, let me interrupt you. Just because I guess my point is, what if we don't send you that 6.47, or we don't send you additional money? Does that just arbitrarily keep our funded ratio percentage lower?
You mean the required rate?
Sure.
Is that what you mean by, yeah, if you don't send it? So, yeah, you don't have an option. We would basically, if you didn't send, if you could only afford 5%, for example, the options that you have are to lower your benefits. So the 175 right here and the 7%, those can be lowered if you want your cost to be lower. And then that would bring down your required rate to 5% or 4% or whatever is feasible for the county.
What I was really looking at is there's a cost associated with increasing our matching past and future, or just past, whatever we do. But since we have a funded rate that's really high, if we went through that, but we didn't actually send any money in, or didn't send in 100% of what would keep our rate at that same amount, is that even an option? And I don't know how to. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, that's not an option. Just the fact that you're increasing your benefits takes that required rate up to 17.47, and it immediately drops your funded ratio for next year to 85%.
Okay, that's just a mathematical issue. That's too bad. Okay.
We have no option on it.
Yeah, that's right.
It just happens.
Look for another opportunity
It just happens.
to make it be a solution here. I think I understand that. I don't have any other questions for Roxanne, but I think she's going to stay on the line. Do any other commissioners have any questions for Ms. Aldridge at this time?
No, at this time.
Madam Auditor, do you have any questions?
No.
And Commissioner DeWitt, if I could just drive the conversation real quick for you. I'll posit my question to you, and I still want to have a discussion. I'll pass on future and future only. But looking at the numbers that you provided us, that I presume are coming from Jaime's office.
That is correct.
So Jaime, this question may be for you. I show our current plan has an annual expense of $539,902, hard dollars. And if we were to go up from 175% to 200%, that number would jump up an additional $319,306. My question is, explain to me the exponential increase in the percentage of growth that doesn't add up to the 0.2 or the 25-point increase. Maybe. Thank you, Deputy Salas. Did you follow the question?
No.
Okay, so look, I'm looking at current plan annual cost of $539,902. I'm looking at the 200% plan, which is an increase of employer matching from 175 to 200, which is 25 basis points. A quarter, 25 basis points. Actually, is it 250 or 25? Anyway, it's 25%, right? The increase, 25% of $539,902 is substantially less than $319,306. My question is, why is the increase in overall cost exponentially greater than the numerical increase in the percent matching that we're considering, if we're considering 200%? Does that make sense? Thank you, Deputy Salas. Does that make sense?
You catch up, Ms. Aldridge?
I'm just looking for.
It makes sense, but
So it's actually, the math goes from 175 to 200, but the cost is really what you're looking at is 6.29% versus 10.01. So you're taking the difference between those two.
Okay, what's our payroll?
Which is that required rate.
Yeah, which is the required rate. So the required rate for passing 200% past and future is 10.0.
It's there, Judge.
So now, instead of paying 6.29 next year, you're going to be paying 10.01, which is a difference of 3.72%.
And that's of all, the whole
So,
amount
yeah,
of
you
payroll.
take that and multiply it by your payroll, and that would give you the difference.
Judge, I remember I gave you a payroll here this past week, for our last payroll, and it was, with total, in total wages, 313,833.32. This is our last payroll.
So you say 10% of that, like if that's forward, it'll be 10% of that, and then that's times 26 pay periods.
It's a lot more complicated than it looks. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But bottom line, I mean, that's the increase. You're gonna see that $319.
And I want
That's what
to,
it's gonna cost us.
I have to understand why the increase from 175 to 200% carries a $319,000 increase when the difference in the percentages between 6.64 and 10.36 is 3.72%. If I multiply the annualized payroll of $8,583,494 times 3.72%, I get $31,930.59. I just need to understand the math. I don't understand the math.
Well, it's the same number except the decimal move.
Right, which is very troubling. I like my number. I just
I like your number
can
too.
y'all? I don't. I just don't
That's right.
understand what I'm missing, and I just need to I'm sorry. I should have done this before the commissioners' court meeting. I apologize that I'm not prepared, but
So what is the payroll that you're looking at?
it's next year's annualized payroll. This is for current and proposed plans. I don't know if this was on your document of $8,583,494.
Okay, so I'm gonna take that number, 8,583,494 times .1001. So the cost for going to 200% for next year, past and future, is $859,207.75. And if you did not make a change to your plan for next year, I would multiply it by 0.0664. Oh, 629, sorry. 0.0629. And then the cost would be $539,901.77. So we'll just take the difference.
I've never been known for my strong suit when it comes to mathematical equations. Addition, subtraction, I'm pretty good at, but multiplication and division is bad. I was off by a decimal point. My apologies. But at least now I understand. I still don't like the number.
Yeah, so 319,305, $319,305.98.
Okay. And this would provide a catch-up for all of our employees current employees that have not taken retirement on whatever their current. I don't know if we have any employees or.
Well,
we don't have any.
Yeah, so it's for
Any employee.
Current employees.
any open account. And I'm looking, I don't know if you can see, it's this, from what I understand, the numbers look pretty small on your screen. But the county has been at 175% match since 1997.
Okay. Wow.
In 1996, it was at 150% just for 1 year. And back then, just so y'all know, back in 97, back in 96, anytime prior to, I want to say it was 2000, somewhere in the mid-2000s, when we changed it to where if you're going to increase the match, you have the option to go past and future or future only. Prior to that, prior to the mid-2000s, it was automatically past and future. So in 96, the match was 150. Prior to that, it was at 140% back to 1986. Then 120% from 1977 through 85, and one-to-one match when you joined us in 1973. So I kind of went backwards, but the point is the match was increased to 175% in 1997. So when that happened, it went back to 1973 automatically. Now, if you decide to do it past and future, it will cover all of those lower matches in the past. Everyone that has an open account, even if they're not working for the county, if they have an open account, meaning they have not retired, some of them could have left the county but didn't touch their money, will now be matched at 2-to-1 if that's the route you go.
Okay, and now then the follow-up question, looking at future-only plans and the difference between the total contribution rate, at our current plan, it's still 6.64%. At 200, future-only, it's 7.88%, which, if I'm understanding how to do this math now, which is incredibly dangerous, I'm showing an additional cost of $106,435.33, which would be a guidepost as to an future annual, in addition to this next tax year. It would be moving forward year over year. This would be what our total contribution would increase by. And what we're looking at this morning, what's being presented, I'm jumping on Commissioner DeWitt's toes a little bit, and I don't mean to, but I think what we're looking at is considering past and future at one of the rates. So I'll arbitrarily pick the 200% rate, and so the future cost on 200% is $106,000 and change a year. For if we elected to increase past and future, it would be a one-time cost of $319,306, and then future years would be somewhere depending on whatever the actuarials say or the actuaries say.
So there's no Judge. There's no one-time cost. You can if you'd like to.
You don't do that. See, it's not a lump sum payment.
It's gonna go.
Yeah, there's no.
It's a little bit of
Yeah,
time.
now if you.
It's not a lump sum payment.
Okay, well that's good to know.
I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. I totally already.
It's over the 26 pay period.
Yeah, over the 20
annually.
It's
So
annual.
every pay period, we pay this increased
it's not a
amount
lump
from the
sum check.
6.29 to the 10%.
And that's a question that Jaime and I had asked her last week, and she said no, because I thought it was lump sum. I said, man, that's going to be tough. I said, no, it's not lump sum. It's paid out with payroll.
Well, and it's a lump sum annual. I mean,
Well,
this is an increase we're going to see on top of our budget
That
for
is
the
correct.
annual cost. I mean,
Right, but it's not. We got to write out a
Well,
check tomorrow.
basically what would happen is if you did that 200 past and future, so 10.01 from now on, that would, get switched to right here to the current plan, and any plan experience, good or bad, positive or negative, it would then start from 10.01, right? So if you had positive experience, it's going to slightly decrease 10.01 through the years. And then the opposite, if we had negative experience, it's going to start from 10.01 and increase the rate up. One thing I need to mention is this benefit change, it takes 15 years to pay off the unfunded liability that results from it. So just keep that in mind. So after 15 years, then the 10.01, basically the difference that comes from the 3.61 and 0.76, that gets paid off. And then you're left with, the normal cost plus whatever would be the unfunded at that time. That's a little more technical, but just wanted to let you know that unfunded liabilities resulting from plan changes, they have a 15-year schedule to get paid off.
So do you have a lump sum on past and future on past lump sum total amount over that 15 years? Because it's not
the cost is
15 years at 200,000 a year difference is?
So it's a rough cost would be the 38.4 million minus 36.6 million. And then you got to figure in our investment return assumption of 7.5%. So you're looking at somewhere in the little over $2 million range.
I understand.
That's an approximate, but I can't get you from our actuaries the actual number, but that's a pretty good estimate, a little over $2 million. So one way I can do this right now, as a matter of fact, is we have this tool called the Plan Customizer, and it's available to the employer in the employer's account. And this is where Jaime was able to run these numbers. And one option that you have is if you wanted to pay part or all of this benefit increase up front, you could do that. It's called an additional contribution. You don't have to do it. You can just do the 10.01. So I'm going to do 200% house and future. And then I'm going to do an additional contribution. Let's see, 2.5 million. Let's see where that takes us. 2.3. So that's gonna. I understand.
No, it was a joke. It was a joke. No, I think it's a good number. Takes us back down to 7.
So,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you're looking from 6. I was pretty close.
I'm kind of liking that.
Thank you, Ms. Aldridge.
Yeah. You're welcome. So that's pretty close, 2.5 million. So your rate, as you see under current plan, is 6.64. If you did that additional contribution, which would pay that match increase, 6.6. Yeah, pretty close.
And we do see that liability on our annual report, of course. You see that fluctuating on our financial.
What are our reserves at right now? We put 3.5 million in reserves this last year.
Yes.
Hey, that's 7 months of reserves. I mean, I definitely don't necessarily want to drain the kitty, but
No, and even a little portion of it, but throwing some of that into
off of the budget,
this,
because
exactly.
we don't want to be
It's
budgeting reserves
It's minimizing
year over
off the
year.
budget is what
Yeah.
liking about that situation. And it doesn't have to be that amount, but any amount. If we put maybe even $1 million,
$1 million.
1.5,
Throw $1 million at it.
that throws it.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of talking. I apologize. Also, on the floor to anybody
You brought out
else.
a lot of good points.
But I like this idea personally. Just because we've got reserves and we have healthy reserves, and it's our staff that's done a great job in adding to our reserves year over year. If we can pay this hickey out more up front, then it reduces, because the $319,000 increase to the budget, I mean, that's our
gonna
max,
be a tough one. That's a tough
no
one
new
as well.
tax rate, no whatever that number.
no new revenue.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that
I got this
fluctuates
no new
throughout.
revenue.
No new revenue.
Right.
And that gives us then again flexibility to actually meaningfully look at employee salaries.
And then we can
Well,
work
we
that
do.
into that one time, when we balance the budget, we work it into a one-time payment, and we can take that off of the top of our
Yeah.
budget and take it from our reserve.
Okay.
Because this payment would be due in December, correct?
If you wanted to make an additional contribution,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
need to know by December 15th, and then you have until December 30th, depending on what day of the week that falls on, to send it in.
'Cause- great.
And that will impact your 2025 rate. So this shows you the cost of $2.5 million. It can be a different amount. It doesn't have to be $2.5 million.
Right.
So, Jaime, this is something that you can easily play with once you guys have finalized your budget and you know if there's excess money, and you can plug it in here, and this required rate will change based on whatever number you do. So that's one way to do an additional to get your plan moving towards 100% funded a little faster. The other way is an elected rate. So we saw that the plan for 200% past and future is 10.01. So instead of paying 10.01, you can pay 13% or 14% if you don't want to send in that one lump sum right up front. So you're sending significant more, but you're kind of spreading it out a little bit more over the years. So that's another option. Or you can do a mix of two.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Roxanne, correct me if I'm wrong, we need to make a decision pretty soon because paperwork has to come to us, be filled out, get back to y'all by December. This all goes back January 1, is that correct?
You have until December 15th to make a decision.
Okay, but if we made a decision today, that gives us a roadmap on how to get there and get everything in place because y'all have to send us paperwork, correct? To fill out?
I mean, it takes me 5 seconds to generate the plan agreement.
She didn't go in the direction you thought.
So during the budget is a great time for us to talk more about the options that we have that we can throw into that pot.
I'm fully in support of this, and I'm at the 200% level. I support it past and future. I do think we should look at a lump sum payout in the future to minimize, or lump sum payment to minimize our budgetary increase. And if y'all are fine with that, me telling you, that's fine. If you want to make a motion, yeah, that's fine.
I'd like to make a motion to go with the 200% past and future, and to during the budget process consider how much we can pay down, if you will, toward the unfunded liability, and get this rascal moving. I think it's great. I think it's good for the employees, and that's my motion, sir.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thank you, Ms. Aldridge, for your insight, your knowledge, your strong math skills, and your army of actuarial scientists that we don't ever get to, because you never let them out of the dungeon or the basement. Thank you, Commissioner.
Oh, no, come to our conference. You'll see them all there.
I can't wait. Thanks, Commissioner DeWitt, for bringing this to our attention. Jaime and April for your insight, and for everybody else for allowing me to ask myriad irrelevant questions. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. We have no executive session items today. We move on to agenda item number 20, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second from Commissioner Lenny. All those in favor, please indicate by saying
Goodbye.
aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes without exception. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.